I love roller delayed guns. There's something about them that's just so badass. And here around the holiday times, after I've seen my favorite Christmas movie, Die Hard, I get the distinct urge to play with an MP5. But the only thing I dislike about these, other than, well, cost, is that it's difficult to mount optics on them. Now, thankfully, a company that now deals through hkparts.net has their own new rail. This is the MFI extended 8.5-inch rail mounted on my C93, which is an HK93 clone built by Century Arms. Got a couple other really cool accessories, an hkparts.net M-Lock handguard, which is actually as light as the original one. I've got a Phase 5 weapon systems hand stop up front, and of course, this Saker 762 sound suppressor from Silencer Co. All right, so let's give it a go and see how it holds zero with this Zeiss Z-Point. Oh yeah, it is dead on. And what's cool about this rail is it's not just a standard length rail. So if you have stuff like a night vision setup where you need an actual, scope here or some kind of red dot sight, and then an accompanying night vision device in the back, you have enough rail real estate on here to do that. Likewise, you can also use like a hollow sight combined with a magnifier. It's actually a really, really neat setup, and it really helps, in my opinion, complete this kind of firearm. Now, MFI does make this rail, well, not this exact same rail, but very similar rails, including a universal one for the MP5, the G3, any HK roller delayed clone that needs a rail. Now, obviously, it's not going to fit the Century C308 because that rifle already has a rail welded onto it. Likewise, the ones made by PTR that have rails already pre-welded, obviously you can't use those there, you don't even need them. But for any of you guys out there with roller delayed guns that need a rail, including the Walther 22, these things work and run awesome on there. All right, let's put a few more rounds down range and see how she does. Overall, anyone out there looking to really modernize or take their roller delayed firearm, whether that's an HK93 or an MP5, to the next level, at least in terms of optics and modularity, MFI's rail is the best. And I say that having messed with a bunch of other rails in the past. This rail does fit Zenith firearms, and if you own a Zenith and you've messed around with it too much like I have, you know that the rail that ships on the Zenith is very, very easily stripped. The clamps that clamp onto the receiver itself are actually retained inside of the rail segment. So on other designs, the bottom portion of the clamp, almost like an inexpensive weaver mount, right, is a separate component that is then threaded. The screw passes through the top of the rail, and then as you thread it, it crunches down. So what this does instead is there is a small roll pin in an oblong cut that actually retains that bottom clamp. If that sounds like well, okay, so what? Yeah, it's really, really easy to accidentally lose this little part or have it fall out on other designs. Additionally, this rail seems to be made of a much harder type of aluminum than I've used in the past with other rails. Some of the competing rails I've had, like the Zenith one, strips fairly easily. Now, they may have addressed that in their latest designs, but when I played with them back in 2014, 2015, that problem was still very much evident. Like I said, this is a must-have upgrade for people out there who want to mount optics in a reliable, rock-solid, zero-holding method, but they don't want to mess with all of the other types of designs that aren't quite as high quality, and in this rail's case, offers 8.5 inches of so-called rail real estate. Thanks, guys. I'll be doing a full upgrade video on the HK93 in the near future, but until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more burst reviews.